Blog Talk Radio.
You are listening to the Enlightenment Evolution Network. Welcome to Earth Sky People Radio. Living in harmony with Mother Earth and awakening to an intergalactic society. With your host, Victoria Vives, founder of Reiki Wellbeing and co-founder of the Earth Sky People Movement. Any opinions expressed in Earth Sky People Radio do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. Any opinions expressed by Earth Sky People Radio's guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Earth Sky People Radio. Hello, this is Earth Sky People Radio with your host, your friend, and your soul family, Victoria Vives Khuong. You can find me at victoriavives.com. Today is Saturday, December 20th, 2014. And tomorrow is the winter solstice. So for a moment, let's tune in together, being aware of this time of transition when the shorter night is coming and the beginning of the light is coming as well. Are the things that you want to release before this winter solstice? What are the things that you want to create a space within for the new year? Let's open our hearts to connect with one another, to receive the wisdom from Mother Earth, that beautiful wisdom that ancient traditions kept. May we honor that way of living that brings balance to all of life on the planet. May we bring more light and love for the new year to come. Together in Earth Sky People Radio, Earth representing our connection with Mother Earth and nature, and Sky representing spirituality and life beyond the Earth. Extraterrestrial life, extra-dimensional. Last week we were here with two special guests for the top 10 questions that you would ask an extraterrestrial. That was an amazing show that you can listen to in the archives at victoriavives.com/radio. And today we have with us Greg Friedman, a spiritual guide and mentor. Greg takes the ancient wisdom of indigenous cultures and makes it applicable in our everyday lives. He takes small groups of people all over the world to work with indigenous elders in remote destinations. He has studied and done ceremony with Peruvian shamans and elders from various tribes. Greg Friedman's website is gregfriedman.com. We will have a Q&A section so that you can start calling right now at 347-308-8788 and press number 1 to make sure that we get to your question. And now we have the immense honor to present to you Greg Friedman. Hello, Greg.
It is, yes.
Hi,
it is,
thank you so much.
And thank you very much. It's truly an honor and a pleasure always to spend time with you.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much for being here and sharing about your adventures. You know that I can't wait to hear more about them. I had a great time at your radio show. We will talk about that also, about your radio show. But the first thing I would love to hear about you is how did you start in this healing path? Was there any major catalytic event that brought you to become a spiritual guide and mentor?
Oh, very sneaky. That's usually the first question I ask my guests as well.
Oh! Maybe I learned it from you.
I don't think so. We probably just did it parallel.
Yeah.
So the truth of the matter is, and I think you understand this very well, in one form or another, I've done this my entire life. This is who I am. Were there catalytic events that really shoved me onto my path and made me stop ignoring it? Absolutely.
Oh.
I was tricked, in all honesty, into going out to see a medicine man that was out in the reservation in Arizona. I was ignorant, I was young, and I was told, oh, no problem. It's only a 4-hour drive to go to Tucson from LA. It's about a 10-hour drive, more or less. And so I'm sitting there and driving out through the desert. And in the car, I have my girlfriend and 2 dogs. And by the time we got out to the desert getting through LA traffic, it was pitch black. The dogs, the girlfriend were knocked out, dead asleep. And far, far in the distance, as I'm driving through the middle of the high desert, I see these eyes glowing. And if you've ever been out in nature and seen animals at night, you know how their eyes could reflect. And usually when animals see headlights coming, they're going to do one of 2 things. They're going to thorn, which means freeze, or they're going to run to avoid the car. This animal, this coyote, I later discovered, just kept looking at me and cruising across the street very, very slowly. And I would tell you on my life that coyote was looking me dead square in the eye the entire time. And I'm approaching and I'm going, what's this animal going to do? I'm going to have to do something. Finally, I get right on it, and he doesn't move out of the way. He just keeps strolling across. I swerve. I almost go into the ditch, and then I drive on. The girlfriend, the dogs, don't even stir. It was like they were knocked out. We get to the reservation. We do ceremony, and we're sitting in this man's house. And this man was, later came to find out, an amazing and powerful teacher. And we're sitting in his house after ceremony. All around him on the floor, there's about a half a dozen people, and I'm sitting behind him. And he starts telling a story. Guess what he tells a story about?
Oh, my goodness. Tell me.
He starts telling about coyotes.
Oh, wow.
And I'm listening, and I'm bubbling up, and I'm going, and there's something inside of me that knows and knows and knows. And I'm listening, and I'm practically bursting. And, about a half hour later, he gets done with the story, and I couldn't help myself. I was like this kid on Christmas morning needing to rip into a present. So I blurted out, was that you? And in the entire time that I've known him, there was only one time that he ever yelled at me, and it was that moment. And he whipped his head around, stared at me, and he said, weren't you listening? And I went, "Arr?" And really, that was one of the main events that set me on my path. And that man taught me tons.
Wow. What an amazing story. Oh, my goodness.
I didn't even know I was going to tell that story this morning.
No, my goodness. I'm so excited about you sharing this. Thank you so much. That is truly something. Oh, my goodness. So I imagine that was truly the most amazing experience you had, or did you have any other, after that, any other experiences that were so profound?
Well, I am truly blessed, and because I have these my whole life is an amazing series of adventures. And, most people, when they talk about miracles, are looking for these huge, major, major events. And to me, there are presents and gifts laid out all before us. And it's our job to open our eyes, to wake up, to recognize them. And if we could do that, everything is just this delicious meal that we get to taste all these different delectable treats. And so I've had tons and tons of experiences that have been more and more and more opening for me. And then I get the privilege and the honor to be able to share them in what I'm teaching, or share them just having fun with friends, or sitting here talking with you.
Wow. Would you say that maybe some people, some of us, are not aware of these amazing things in our lives because we are too much into, how would I say, the system, or thinking of, I have to go to work, or I have to pay this bill, and that keeps us a little bit numb towards these events?
When I thought about talking to you this morning, I did a meditation, and the phrase that came up to talk about was comfort zone. And comfort zone is one of my big pet peeves because it's actually a misnomer. It's a misinformation in the phrase itself. A comfort zone isn't at all comfortable. What it is excuse me?
That's very true. It's very true. It makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not comfortable. What it is familiar. It's a familiar zone. And so people will decide that I'm going to live within this spectrum, no more and no less. And then we as humans, the physiology of us, sets up neural pathways so that we really create these highways, these ruts. So A equals B, almost automatically. And when we do that, that allows us not to be present, to not enjoy what's being offered right here, right now, because we're so just on autopilot. And when we do that, we have our eyes squinted, if not closed. And our vision is, at the very least, hampered. And the more that we can open our eyes, it's like, imagine having your eyes blindfolded for a while and then having the blindfold taken off all at once. Well, it becomes overwhelming. Well, we don't need to do that. We could do it layer by layer and incorporate and adapt and recognize all the beauty and all the wonderful things that we could recognize and see in the daylight.
Beautiful. Do you feel that maybe you were sent to this earth to open these new pathways, or do you feel that you chose to come to help other people opening and expanding from that comfort zone?
Well, I'm working on it for myself, in all honesty, and then I get the honor to be able to teach. And as I said before, on some level, that's always been my essence, my life's passion, my dharma, if you would, to help, to be of service. And the blessing is that at some point fairly early on, I recognized that and I didn't fight against it. And I embraced it, and there's so much joy for me in that. And it's, did I come here for that? Did I come here to give it to others? Maybe I came here to give it to others so I could learn it myself. I don't know, but I know it is who I am.
Wow, beautiful. Do you notice in the last few years, like since 2012, a change in our collective, and do you feel that we are expanding more to integrate this beautiful wisdom from our elders and the indigenous cultures, Mother Earth? Do you feel that transformation? How do you see our future?
What a great question. Holy schmoly. So, what I have learned and heard from many, many different elders and many, many different indigenous people is we are continually growing to a crossroads, to a point of choice and decision. One of those things that I'll talk about a lot is one of the greatest gifts that we have as humans is the gift of choice. It gives us the responsibility for our own happiness, and it gives us the opportunities over and over again to learn, to grow, to expand. Well, as we're growing universally to this awareness, to this understanding, we're going to come to this place where it's going to come to a head, and we're going to have a choice. As a collective, do we choose an ascending path, or do we choose a destructive path? And the universe is going to say, okay, whatever y'all choose is groovy with me. But I would obviously prefer us choosing an ascending path where there's so much that's spirituality, biology, science, they're all coming together, and they're not separate, and they're not in contradiction or conflict with each other. More and more and more, we're living in the harmony of all of us as mind, body, spirit. And that's a gorgeous thing, and I want that personally to prosper, to grow, to provide the opportunity for happiness and for a more connectedness between all of us.
Yes, absolutely. We're making it happen. Yeah, all of us. Awesome.
We do our best, don't we?
Always learning, for sure.
Absolutely.
And for those who are joining now, just letting you know that we are here with Greg Friedman, and you can call in to ask your question at 347-308-8788. And if you want to ask your question or make a comment, just press number 1, because I see calls in, but sometimes we get shy, and we don't ask. But, we're also family. We're here working together, growing together, learning from each other. So we really appreciate your time and your voice tuning in with us. Okay,
I gotta
Greg.
tell you, having the radio program, that was one of the things that really surprised me. People are incredibly shy about calling in and being on air. And I go, it's so not something that I really understand. I could respect it, but I go, it's just so much fun to me.
Yeah, because we all create the program, the show together. All of these, all the people, all the guests, the hosts, all together are the ones that are creating the show. So it is so beautiful to have people call in and participating, but we'll have patience. Let's see if people start showing up.
Yeah, the listening audience really does enhance the program immensely, because there's a whole other perspective, a whole other sphere, and really great questions as a rule.
That's very true. Very true. Because I cannot ask all the questions. Friends, help me out. Okay. But I have a question for you. I don't know if before this catalytic event in your life, did you actually have another career, or did you after that continue with a different career other than being a spiritual guide?
Wow. So this happened fairly young, and the answer is yes. I was a performing artist, and I performed all over the world, and I was doing all kinds of other things to help people, to work with people that, were either individual, with groups, and other things, including organizations like, for a while, there's a group that called Angel Food. Angel Food's a really cool organization that delivers meals to people that are homebound. Basically, my entire soul has always been looking for ways to be of service that resonate. And, sometimes I do it well, and sometimes not so much.
Well, I feel that just the intention is something essential, because many times I have students coming to classes saying, I'm not ready yet, I have to work so much until I can help people. And from my perspective, I feel that anyone that has the love and the compassion and the intention to help is going to be able to help. So I feel that you have been helping all along.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if that's encouraged and nurtured, then that's the kind of universe that we're creating. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be ideal. But you want to help? That's fantastic.
Yeah. And you said performing artist. I want to learn more about that. I really want to learn more about that, because I've been in performing arts for my whole life, so I'm really interested. Share with us, please.
Well, there was always something. I was very fortunate. Early on, I was brought to the theater, and I was exposed to music and the arts, and there was something there was magic in that, and that's what really attracted me to the arts, because when I was a little kid, I saw this other world, and you go on this empathetic journey, either through music or through relating to a character in a play or a movie. I've said for a long, long time that movies are medicine journeys. They can take people empathetically as they relate to one specific character through the evolution that this character goes through without them actually having to experience firsthand. And that kind of magic just made me go, this is so cool. And I wanted to share it, and I wanted to be a part of it. And I worked at it, and I studied, and went all over the world performing, and just had a blast. And really it taught me so much about the different ways that humans relate to others, between all the traveling and watching different cultures, or just the performing and taking on a different persona, is really a useful tool in understanding another's path.
I really, I feel that you said is so powerful, because for years I've been in the entertainment industry and felt, wow, I'm so superficial. I have this superficial life. And now I realize it's one of the most powerful things that we can do, because it really can transform the world if it is the right kind of entertainment. So
what do you mean? It's been really hard for me not to ask you a bunch of questions too, considering I mostly interview people. But that one I have. What do you mean by the right kind of entertainment?
I feel that there is entertainment that helps us going within. It helps us discover more about ourselves. It helps us reconnecting with the truth of who we are. It helps us going out of the comfort zone. And I feel that most of the art or entertainment I did for television and the mainstream industry didn't have that. I could feel that because how I felt doing it, how the relationships were between the performers, how the audience reacted. I could feel that. I mean, I really wanted to put my best many times. I remember this one time. I was not feeling very well, but I knew that I could make somebody smile and enjoy, and I know how the energy can be transmitted in that way. So I did that, and I was happy about that. However, I felt that the foundation of the show I was performing in wasn't towards really transforming the world for the better. I felt it was, many of the times I was performing, there was a lot of use of our sexuality or sensuality. You have to look in a certain way, a lot of discrimination in if somebody's a little fat, they will start getting over them. Many things that were very, very traumatic, and some people after that had to go to psychologists and things like that. Choreographers trying to make cry the dancers. And then
dancers a lot of times will have to weigh in before a performance. They have to they stand them on a scale. But what I've found is that there's no really bad. It's that even the garbagiest, ickiest anything has an opportunity for growth and for a lesson. And those things that we may not recognize or may not affect us directly or even give us the opportunity to grow positively doesn't mean that there's not something else for somebody else, because that same thing that could send somebody to a psychologist because they're told they're fat or unattractive could also work as a catalyst for for another person to really strive to grow, to be bigger, to be better, to overcome, to not allow themselves to be labeled by anybody else.
I absolutely agree, and I feel that my experience in entertainment has not always been as I wanted, but I had very beautiful times, and I also had a lot of learning from the not good times. I'm just sharing that from my perspective, we could create something that really enhances people's lives. I feel that there is such a power in entertainment that if we use it in the right way, we can transform the world. That's my perspective.
I absolutely agree with that. It's amazing to me. I could get up on a soapbox and I could teach and I could preach and I could say, do this, do this, do this. But to me, the art of storytelling, whether it's through performance or through even dance or music, or just sitting down with a friend and telling a story, is so much a greater, stronger methodology for helping people really understand, to helping them feel, because you could tell them things all day, but a story illustrates it. And if you could see it, you could recognize it, believe it, act on it so much more easily.
Exactly. And imagine films, for example, if a vision board is helping people transform their lives, a film, it really programs our life in a way. I mean, it's so powerful. And we are studying, understanding that we can create this. For example, the movie Avatar, that movie is filled up with information and inspiration that helps people reconnect with nature. So that's
funny, I laughed because I was just watching that movie last night for the umpteenth time. I love that movie. One of my favorite things in that movie is the phrase, I see you. James Cameron took the concept of namaste and really taught people about what it means. It means it's not just I see you. It means that I honor you, I recognize you, I'm looking at your essence, not your shell alone. I'm looking at your entire being, and I'm grateful and in respect for that.
Beautiful. You're totally right.
That movie has so many other things like that. It just makes me go, and talking about the connectedness of everything illustrated through the trees and using that almost as a internet, as a metaphor, how everything is connected is so beautiful. And that's what I meant earlier when I was talking about science and biology, mind, body, spirit all coming together. Sorry, I get really excited about this stuff when I start to go.
Thank you. That's great. And our listeners are
mind,
getting
body,
excited.
and spirit coming together. It's that, look, there is an internet. The internet that we're using right now is teaching us that we have such a greater connectiveness that is less tangible, but more to be felt through our entire being.
Exactly.
As we believe in this kind of internet, it'll help us to see and recognize the other kind of internet. And, they've done anthropological studies, and they talked about things like in Tahiti, the indigenous people couldn't see the boats on the horizon because they had no point of reference. They had no connectivity to it. And so they literally could not see what was right in front of their face. I think in some ways, the internet is teaching us to see what's right in front of our face, that kind of connectivity that exists without the electrical, without the computer, because it just exists. We are connected.
I totally agree. I always feel that, that the internet is something external from what we have within, and that we're going to learn to really connect from within. And one of the hosts in this network channels, Theos, and Theos shared that because I always talk about intergalactic, she says inter is internal. So internet is internal too. We're seeing it outside, but really I feel exactly what you said is so true. It is internal. It's something that we can connect from within, and it is just that the internet help us see it. That is such a great analogy. Thank you for sharing that.
It's just helping us recognize what exists and what we may be blind to because we just haven't really been exposed to it before, or don't have a point of reference.
Yes, and we got excited, and our listeners too. So we have now people calling in for questions. I'm going to repeat the number just for those who want to call in also. So it's 347-308-8788, and then just press number 1 to make your comment, your questions. So we're going to start with 310, area code 310. Be ready. Hello.
Hi, is this me?
Yes, it's you. How are you?
Hi, good. This is Danny. I'm calling from Los Angeles. How are you?
Danny. How are you?
Danny!
Hey, I'm loving it. You guys are like spiritual superheroes. I love it. I love it.
So I know you, right? I know you,
yeah.
Danny.
Yeah, Victoria, I got the pleasure to meet you. I work with Greg on his radio show, and I had to tune in because you two just both give such beautiful healing energy, and I'm loving listening to you guys.
Oh, you are such a sweetheart. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
Hey, all right, look, this is a rare opportunity. Anything you want to ask either of us, as long as you have us on the spot and on air?
Yes. I have a question. At first, I just again wanted to say thank you and just say that I have the pleasure of working with Greg, and so he's very, very modest, but he has just an energy that's so giving. He without stopping the moment, continually, he's always looking for opportunities to be of service or to help you with something that's going on in the moment or during the week. And so I just want to acknowledge and share that about Greg. He's very modest, but he's continually finding ways to be of service to others. And I just wanted to say that. But my question for both of you is, what is
I don't even get to thank you for that? That was beautiful. Thank
you. Of course. My question for both of you is what is your vision for yourself and for the world in this new year? And also, what words of encouragement could you give everyone listening in this new year to really express more of their love and their passion to help that vision or to help the world in this coming year?
Wow.
Well, Greg, it's your turn. You're my guest of peace.
That's the advantage of this being your show. Otherwise, I would have thrown it to you. Wow. I love my life. And every day I get to go on a new adventure. And one of the things that we're going to do in this upcoming year is we're going to really design and implement a journey down to Peru again. Danny's family is from Peru. And we're going to take a small group of people there. We're going to go up into the rainforest. We're going to go on into an adventure. And I never, ever know what's going to happen, but I always know it's going to be amazing. So what I really want is just to learn the basic tenets of my life, to be grateful and to forgive myself and others, to really celebrate what is and be present in it instead of looking for something else. Find my happiness, really embrace it, and to do my darndest to share it. Might sound a little bit, airy-fairy or Pollyannic, but that's how I live when I'm not growling and grumbling at somebody, which I also do.
So that means it's my turn?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. So my plans for 2015. Oh, my goodness. Oh, so excited. I'm always doing something excited. That's what. It's hard to think of one thing, but let's see. I feel that 2015 is going to be a year in which I'm going to be able to transition more into being in nature more time. At this point, I'm spending at least 2 nights a week in nature, and I'm doing so much transformation in the way I live so that I can honor more Mother Earth, and I feel that is going to be one of the big things. So just continue with my movement, that is Earth Sky People, creating more classes, videos, and events that can help people reconnecting with one another and with the Earth. So that would be my passion for 2015, and about how others can really bring their passions into life. Trust. Trust your vision, your passion. Your heart is always, always guiding you. When your heart tells you something, it's because it knows it is there for you. Many times, logic cannot give us the answer. Logic is just so limited, very limited. But when we go to our hearts, we see the truth. So even if anyone else around you cannot see it, it doesn't matter. You see it in your heart and you follow it. If you cannot share it with everyone, don't do it. But you know that you are nurturing your vision with your trust. And just with that, step by step, day by day, you will get there. I promise you. You can get there.
Absolutely. And the universe conspires to help us to get there as well. That's one of those things that I talk about a lot is karma and dharma. And most people think of karma as this punitive force, this thing that's going to beat you up. You did a bad thing, so it's going to do something bad to you. That's not what my understanding of karma is. It's actually there to help us. So when we find ourselves getting bumped or hit or going through hard times, it's a wake-up call. That's usually, to me, karma saying, I'm just going to bump you back onto your path because you're straying off. And stop listening with your head and start listening with your soul, and you'll be in your flow.
I love that. Oh, my goodness, that takes all the fear away. It's like so powerful. I love it.
Yeah, love it.
And you said something earlier to Victoria that if you don't mind me asking about, is that okay?
Sure. I'm being interviewed in my show.
I'm sorry, that's why I asked.
I love it. You're awesome. You're awesome. Great.
You said that you try to get away about 2 days a week, and I bring that up because I run into people all the time that say, I can't. And what I'm hearing you say is that you just make a choice that this is your priority, so you make it happen. Is that accurate?
That's totally accurate, and thank you for reinforcing that because it makes me become more aware of it. I have been for 3 years giving myself to my healing practice, my healing classes, having no time for myself until I came from Spain this September. I've been with my family there, and my aunt really encouraged me, you have to take care of yourself. That's it, and I don't know, something changed, and since then I say, I really have to do that. I really have to take care of myself. And it's not that I'm not going to take care of other people. It's actually helping me to help other people better. And the joy I have and the personal healing I'm getting from just saying, this is my time. I don't have internet. I don't have cell phone. I don't have any fields of electromagnetism around me. I'm free. I'm wild. I'm primitive. Anything that I want. I have a part that is African, so I need that.
And that's the thing that I'm talking about is you took responsibility for your choices, and you understood that giving to self isn't selfish in a negative way. It's actually vital. If I can feed me, then I could go feed a whole bunch of other people. If I don't take care of me, then I'm always looking for other people to fill me up. It's my job to take care of me. Then I could go out into the world.
Yes. Thank you so much for that because it helps me really embrace it and consciously embracing it. So thank you.
It just helps me for me personally, because I hear, wow, you go away 2 days a week to go out into nature. That would be so cool. And then I hear this little voice going, well, if you want that, then you can go do that. And it just reminds me of, oh, yeah, that's a choice. I can make that happen.
That's
whatever.
True. Oh, my goodness. And Danny, we have you there. Sorry, we got so excited. Your question was really inspiring to us, as you can see.
This is all part of my question. Yeah.
Do you have any further comments or questions for us?
No, I just want to thank you both again. And Victoria, just to thank you so much. Having met you in person, your energy is so beautiful and wonderful, and your intention and what you're doing. Both of you, just thank you so much for your example. Just listening to you is such a beautiful reminder and example, and I hope that everyone is inspired and continues to share their love. It's awesome. Thank you.
And please share about your book, because I know that you tell about us, but I know that you are a very talented and very beautiful soul as well. So please just briefly share about it.
Thank you. I wrote a book called 7 Years in 7 Days, A Life of Now, and it's called 7 Years in 7 Days because for 7 years I was writing affirmations and short prose to inspire people. And finally, I said I'm going to write a book, and I'm going to do it in 7 days, so I can encourage other people to just do things they want to do. And so I wrote it in 7 days. Yeah. So now I share it.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. But and Greg always helps me to share it with people. But it's just a book to guide you to self-reflect and then to take action. So you read my affirmations, and then you write your own intentions, and you take action every week. And it's a guided journal. But
one of the great things about his book is it's like great art. To me, great art invites you to interact with it. Danny's book is set up specifically so you can interact with it.
Oh, that's So I'll share an affirmation that you just inspired me to remember, Greg. So I have an affirmation about art. It's very simple, and it says, "Art is permission to love." Art is permission to love. And it's just like listening to you, Victoria, and you, Greg, it's just, yeah, I can do that. I can. It's okay. I will. And so that's why it's called A Life of Now, so you can just do those things now and share now. So,
thank you for that.
Thank you, Victoria. You're wonderful. Thank you, guys.
Bye. Okay,
Bye.
That was such a fun interaction. Yeah, everybody should call. Come on. We actually have another question, so maybe we can go for that one. I have more questions for you, Greg, but let's get this other call. And for those who want to call, the phone number is 347-308-8788. And then press 1 to ask your question. So we're going to go now for the second call. And the area code is 830. So 830, be ready because you're live with us. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, what's your name?
This is Lorena August. You're friends with me on Facebook. Oh my God, Victoria, first off, I love you. I love you. Everything about you.
Everybody that meets Victoria loves her.
I've been reading about you and commenting.
Amazing bright soul.
Oh my God, you have no idea. I don't even know where to start. Okay, so I love doing conference calls, but I'm a single mother. I just graduated from college almost 2 years ago from fashion design, and I went for the dream. I did my business taxes for my small business. I invested so much energy, so much time in preparation, and it didn't work out the way I needed it to. So I came back from New York home to my children. I have been homeless several times. I have changed my religion so many times, it's pathetic. For 15 years before I became a Christian, I was a New Ager. I was a goddess worshiper. I was very much into meditations and Eastern practices, always searching. I've always had a thirst and hunger for life and knowledge, constantly like that. And I conflicted myself career-wise and being an at-home mom lots of times with having to compromise my beliefs, my lifestyle, my behavior, my appearance, and my attitude so many times that I realized that after I decided I'm done with college and I want to live life, I realized that why do I have to compromise being myself? Why do I have to compromise my belief system? Why is it that I'm having so many of these inner conflicts? And then now that I've been home with my children, I've come to realize that, you know what? This isn't about God or devil. This isn't about religion. This isn't about what the world expects of me. It's about what I expect of myself and the innate Godship inside of me. So when I became friends with you and I started seeing your posts and some of the groups, I was like, this woman is amazing. I was like, everything that I used to pop pills for to hide is actually not evil at all. It's pure and it's good. And I'm like, the world that I'm used to in America is so watered down. It's so artificial, and it's so ridiculous. And then I'm noticing, right now in my life, especially during the holiday season, is that I'm going through this process of not just mental purification, not just detoxification on the physical side, not just but on a spiritual level too. There's a lot of people now that I'm more comfortable with expressing my spirituality and I see that my spirituality transcends religion or organized religion, I don't even bother wasting my time with negative people. There's just so many things I had to cut out of my life. And, you know, getting ready for 2015, it's like, no, this is going to be a year that a lot, because I have that type of mentality and perspective where I like to make things happen, but I don't like to create negative things or perpetuate negative things. I've always enjoyed the pleasure of perpetuating and creating positive things that can literally overflow from person to person to person. And so now that I'm getting ready to go back into the fashion industry independently, you know, post-grad, and I'm working on reinventing a lot of concepts, I'm like, I want to incorporate my spirituality in it, you know?
Beautiful.
But I've noticed that with spirituality, it's a universal thing. And I think that's the beautiful part about realizing that divine connection in all people, that we're all one, you know? And it's older than religion. It's older than history. And so I'm realizing these basic truths, like I'm seeing them and living them. And earlier what you guys were discussing about the internet, putting things in your face, it's so true. Like I was like listening to you guys and I was like, whoa, like I want to be around these kind of people. I want to physically be around them. Because it's creepy because I've got so many friends. No, for real. Like maybe about 65 to 75% of my Facebook network think like you guys, or are open to the possibility of thinking like you, but they're not living it. And you know, and I realized, wait a minute, I've been kind of like down and out during this holiday season because I'm hungering for companionship from people like you guys. But the everyday people that I live around, they are so zombied out. Seriously,
what are you
so zombied out.
May I jump in and respond to that? Is that okay with you?
Exactly. So, and then when I am around them, they see me as I am. They don't judge me. They don't persecute me or anything. They just kind of laugh it off and like, whoa, like you're so smart. And I'm like, no, we're all like this. We all.
Where are you located? Where do you live?
I'm in Texas, South Texas, about 50 miles from the major city of San Antonio, Texas.
Oh,
I'm going to be down there next year doing a workshop. I'd love to play with you. But, you know, can I just jump in and respond to the essence of what I'm hearing you say?
Okay.
There is something that you're learning and incorporating right now that's huge in your life. Yeah. And it's the distinction between judgment and assessment. And judgment to me is... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, please. I'm taking notes.
Judgment is, to me, lazy, and it's what a lot of people do, where they're going to put a label on it, then they don't have to think about it, then they don't have to interact with it or participate with it. Again, they just go by autopilot with it. I'm going to judge you or judge this thing or judge these people. Instead, assessment is a constant, incessant process that demands you being present in this moment and weighing out what's appropriate. Everybody is on their path. We don't need to judge their path. We don't need to put a label on their path. What we need to do is assess what's appropriate for us. Appropriate is another one of those words. Apropos, fitting. What fits in this very moment? Let's assess that, see what fits, and if whatever they're doing interacts appropriately, then groovy. And if it doesn't, I don't need to judge them stupid or wrong or bad or lost or garbage. What I can do is just say, have a great time on your path. I wish you well on your path. I'm over here. I'm going to go make a left turn at Albuquerque.
Right.
Beautiful. Yes, and you know, also I want to, when I heard you speaking, I love all the progress that you have achieved in the last few years. And I feel that, you know, you mentioned something about that you changed religion so many times. And I feel that is part of our dehypnotizing ourselves. We born into a system where there is always a religion to follow, somebody to follow. And, you know, we can learn a lot. We can learn a lot from all of those religions. But at the end, it is really everything within you. And that's exactly what you said. So you have found that, which is so essential. It is all within you. The divine, all the light, anything that you need is within you. And you have gotten there. So now
and it's the relationship that you develop. And as we go on and as we grow, we learn to have that relationship with our own essence and with the essence that's universal.
That's right, and that's what connects all of us. That's the connection. That is the beautiful divine connection, no matter what we do, no matter what kind of mistakes we make, as long as we're learning from those mistakes. That's the biggest picture ever, and it's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
And the more that we appreciate, the more we integrate that, the less we're going to judge ourselves, and therefore the less we're going to judge anybody else.
Exactly.
Everybody has their own path of discovery, and that's appropriate. Right. Now I get to choose how do I want to dance with it.
So one more thing I would like to add is that sometimes we may feel alone in this path, but the reason why is because you are a leader. You are opening something that didn't happen before. So we may feel alone because of that, but once you embrace that role of saying, okay, I'm bringing change, I'm bringing transformation, and perhaps you can even express that through your fashion. You can bring that transformation through your fashion, and you can be a leader. So it's not about thing. It's not about thing. You are unique in your own path. Each person is unique, and your path is going to be to bring more light. So be proud of it, be happy about it, and enjoy it. 2015 is going to be amazing, I'm telling you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's funny because right now when you guys are explaining, when Victoria's talking about the whole leadership aspect, one of the biggest, craziest things that I've noticed, even when I would get contracted to do model calls, like to work with the designers in selecting their models, whether they be the standard from the primary industry or the secondary industry being full-figured, through every type of ethnicity I was ever exposed to in San Antonio, I saw the harsh criticism and the conflicting feelings that you would meet moral women, moral-type females that wanted to embrace their confidence and embrace their sexiness and their sensuality, but immediately get judged because, you know, they're walking down a runway in the student designer's gown that happens to have a high slit, or maybe has, you know, is flaunting a little bit of cleavage. You know, like from the extreme conservative, judgmental type of Christian in the audience to the type of all-American woman that's spiritual but not necessarily conservative. Like, no, that's just the look that the designer's perpetuating. That's just the designer's vision. You know, little things like that. You know, and it's been a long time since I've actually talked about this kind of stuff. But I experienced this backstage when I was a student designer getting training, and I experienced this even post-school. I'm like, the point of the matter is there's nothing wrong with a woman owning up to her sensuality and her sex appeal. I mean, it's greatly appreciated as long as she's keeping track of her own behavior and she knows what she's taking accountability for with every person that she's experiencing anything with. I mean, with religion down here along the Bible Belt, things tend to be like, especially I've noticed the lonely, miserable people that are all up in other people's business but not happy for themselves. I'm like, well, there's no harm and evil in companionship. The harm and evil is attached when there's deceitfulness involved and when there's like, I think you guys were talking about something earlier about taking care of yourself and providing what you need so that way you don't have to use other people to fill your needs, like to fill you up, because then once the glass is empty, it's like you're going to keep, you know, it's like a perpetuated bad habit or lifestyle and cycle. And I've clearly seen, you know, even people that I'm not really attached to, just socially stepping back and watching that, you know, it's not okay to fill that void. What they're really looking for is for that void to be absorbed with pure light and truth and realization that they can change things from the inside out. Just be themselves and let things happen naturally.
And there are always going to be people that will judge or criticize, and you just wish them well and understand that you're allowed to do it. If that's your path, and that's fine. I can't control you, and I don't want to control you, but I do want to respect and honor your path.
Exactly. Amen. Exactly.
Thank you so much for calling. Thank you so much. Please message me on Facebook so that we can be in touch, okay?
Okay.
So that I know exactly who you are, okay? Thank you for calling.
I definitely will. Thank you, and God bless you, and blessings to the universe through you.
What a great call, Victoria.
Beautiful. Oh, my goodness. It's like the show becomes alive thanks to the calls like this, the calls of the listeners. So, but I want to have a little bit of time with you to ask you some questions, okay? So I'm going to. There are other questions waiting. I promise I will take at least one more, but I have some questions of my own. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I really want for you to share about your adventures in the wild. How did that start? What is the process? How, I don't know, just share with us about it, please.
How did it start? I'll tell you not so much how it started, but one morning I was sleeping about 3 or 4 in the morning, and I sat bolt upright, and I went, and I shouted out an expletive, and I said, I hate the cold, because I really don't like the cold. Because in my dreams, I was told that I have to go up to Alaska area and work with Inuits as well. And I haven't figured out a way to manifest that yet, but I will. But it was just, that's the kind of way this gets inspired. It's just, I listen and I hear, this is where I need to go. This is appropriate for me. This is what works for me. And then I check in because I'm not a slave to that little voice. I hear the little voice and I say, well, how do I feel about it? And then if I'm in agreement, then we go make it happen. And that's essentially how Peru happened. You lead groups and you lead groups, and then all of a sudden you go, this is where we need to take them. And it's for... One of the primary reasons is that phrase we talked about earlier, comfort zone. It's like you have to get people out of the familiar in order to shift the dynamic, to shift their modality, to open them up to seeing what they may not have been able to recognize and may not be able to recognize if they're staying in their same environment. And to me, indigenous teaching is simple and true. And I found that the truth is always simple. If it gets complicated, odds are it ain't the truth. And in indigenous teachings, they're incredibly, incredibly accessible and simple. Now, what we do with them, how we integrate them or reject them, that's up to us. And I'll take people down to the jungle. We set an intention before we go, and then we go on this adventure and we work on that intention individually and with the entire group throughout the entire process as we're doing ceremony and ritual and going way down a tributary of the Amazon into the deep of the rainforest in Peru. Wow. And really, the best thing that I do is I'm a bridge. We have all this great knowledge that we learned down there in the jungle. We have all this great knowledge that we learned in Machu Picchu. And then it freaks people out because they don't understand. How do I take this and put it into my everyday environment? And that's where I come in. Wow. With them, I hold their hand, we build the bridge, and we walk across the bridge together. And that way you could take what you've learned, take in what you've known, and then use it to enhance your life and the people's lives around you here and now in your everyday life.
Wow. So how can we learn more about that? When is the next one? And when,
the next one, we're working on it being this coming year as well. We're doing a workshop in Texas, doing all kinds of things. GregFriedman.com is a great way to get a hold of me. If you want to email me, it's Greg at GregFriedman.com. And Facebook, it's Inner Journey with Greg Friedman. And you can listen to the radio program. Also, we have a fantastic podcast of Victoria. She was kind and sweet enough to become a guest on our show as well. And it was amazing. It was such a good show that I put together a best of, and she was one of the people that I took clips from. I just adore hanging around with you. You're such a beautiful, clean, loving spirit. I'm truly honored every time I get to spend time with you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy that we have connected, It has been since I met you, everything so special, and I really feel that we are on the same page and doing things that are in a way related, because I love nature as well and all the wild things that you are doing, and I can feel your spirit, So thank you for being here today as well.
My pleasure.
And I would like to know also, you mentioned that in indigenous wisdom, it is like simple. Would you say that it is a little different when you go to Australia or when you go to Peru? Because I saw that you go to both places. What are the differences?
When I was talking to you before about traveling all over the world, one of the advantages is in interacting with different cultures, you see that everybody has a different methodology of communicating, of doing everything from flirting to saying hello to being warm or to being cold. And the same thing is true with indigenous elders. Whether I'm here on a reservation, the way we're going to relate and learn is going to be distinctly different than working with Aborigines in the outback or with a shaman in the middle of the rainforest. Everybody is, as I said, the truth is consistently simple and accessible, but it's expressed in as many different colors and flavors and personalities as there are on this planet.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing.
And then I learn to be able to see and recognize and integrate all the different gifts and the different ways that they're being offered more easily. The more I open myself up for different ways that we're connecting through this energetic internet, the more I'm plugged into that particular terminal. And then my life gets to be expanded by the pleasure, the honor, the growth that I get to experience when working with different elders all over the world.
And then also what you said about that you are helping people reach that wisdom with their everyday lives. And I saw that in my shamanic training, there is one of the people and there is like one person that helps my mentor. And she went to Africa and she had this initiation and it was amazing, but it was not easy for her to integrate all of that wisdom into what we do here in the U.S. So I feel that has to be really complex to really be able to transfer that, and that you are able to act as a bridge. I find that to be very, very special and powerful.
It's, there's a couple definitions, and I am not a shaman, but there are a couple of definitions of shaman that I really, really love. One of them is a wounded healer, and another one is a bridge. And really, I put all my efforts as a wounded healer and as a bridge to connect, because it's all about relationship. It's about relationship with ourselves and relationship with the other and the world at large and at small. And that I get to do this is so cool and so much fun. And it creates, the more I can do that for another, the more I'm actually, in fact, doing that for myself as well, because I get to walk across that bridge as well. And so that's one more connection, one more way to integrate knowledge, because knowledge is lovely and it's phenomenal. But the more bridges I build, the more I get to really integrate wisdom into direct application into our lives, our daily lives.
It makes so much sense. And it helps me also understanding my journey, because I totally feel that I'm a bridge. I thought it was a lot because I'm Libra and I always between one extreme and the other. But now that you explain it, yes, seriously, now that you explain it so well, it makes a lot of sense. So very, very powerful, and I can see the potential in it. So thank you.
My pleasure. Yeah, so you're a Libra, I'm a Leo. I figure I'm just going to go build a bridge. There's no bridge here, I'll build it. It's okay.
Okay, so for those who are tuning in now, we're here with Greg Friedman. He's an spiritual guide and mentor, and if you want to call for questions, we are almost about to close the show, but we're going to take at least one more. The phone number is 347-308-8788, and then just press number 1. So we're going to talk with somebody that is calling for a question. The area code is 251. So 251, be ready. Hello, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Hi, what is your name?
My name is Darnell.
Good meeting you. Do you have a question or a comment?
I do. I have. Oh my goodness. It's Mr. Greg.
Yes, sir.
Is what you say your last name was?
Friedman.
How would you spell
Friedman. That? Friedman.
Okay. I'm gonna make sure I'm add you on Facebook. Okay.
Thank you.
My first dilemma is I've really discovered another side of me, another side of existence, and I've come to a place in my life to where I see everything, but I'm emotionally speaking, I've become so detached to the world around me. And I read a quote, and it said that where there's love and where there's hate, there's always a bias, but there's a place where you just see everything for what it is. And I come to that place, but I've been in that place, I guess, too long, and it's almost like I don't know what anything is for anymore.
Are you asking what everything is for?
No, I'm asking, like what am I doing? What are we doing? Like, what's the point?
Victoria, do you want to do this, or you want me to respond?
Do you want feedback from both of us, or do you have somebody that you want to answer?
Ma'am, whichever the two. It's no one in particular. I'm just looking for some advice and some more knowledge.
Okay, Greg, if you want to go ahead, that's fine. Otherwise, I can answer too.
Sure. Why don't we both? And so there's a couple things that popped out as you were speaking. One is you said a couple things like everything and totally, and those kind of words are big red flag words for me because they set us up, because we are perfect in process, but we're not ideal. We're never going to have everything or total. Instead, we're going to be as we are, where we are in process, and we open up in a way where we can integrate it, where we could recognize it, but not get, hit by an avalanche and knocked over and buried by it. So what are we here for? I can only tell you my perspective. It's about relationship. It's about learning to love in that relationship. It's learning to be non-judgmental. It's about understanding that the light and shadow both have uses, that it's not about being right or wrong. It's about creating that ascending spiral that connects us to each other in different ways through love and relationship. Was that responsive to your question?
Yes. It's funny you say that, because here's what put me where I'm at. I come from a family where there wasn't a lot of love and it wasn't a lot of emotional interaction. So for a long time, I did not know how to communicate through my emotions. I didn't know how to express my emotions. I only felt it, and it was bottled inside. Well, through grace, as I journeyed through life, I started meeting people, and they began to love me in ways that I never knew existed. So that feeling, I knew that was the answer. I knew that love was the answer to all. So I began to try to give that back to my family. And when you said wounded healer, that really resonated with me, because I began to find myself saying, wow, that's what I've been attempting to do for so long. And once you feel that love, you want to share it. And you begin, the judgment I had towards family members and friends, it just disappeared. I didn't care to judge anyone anymore. I just wanted to love them and give them the the experience I'd felt, and I knew that they would live through that if they could ever feel it. But in order to do so, you have to be so vulnerable. You have to like confront yourself and open yourself and forgive yourself, and then you begin to forgive everyone else. So I began to want to share that with my family and my friends, and primarily my family. And I've not succeeded at doing so. And then I reached a place to where I felt like you can't control another human being. You can't make them understand or comprehend what it is you're trying to give them. And that just put me in a place to where, no matter, in terms of money, no matter how much money I give them, no matter how much I care for them, I'm there for them. It's like things continue. The times do not change, only the individual. And now that I'm changing, but things around me and the people around me are not, I'm lost. I'm lost in this attempt.
Well, I gotta tell you,
okay?
you said that you tried to give love to your family, but you weren't successful. From my perspective, I disagree with that. It's that any time love is given, it is a success. Whether they're in a position to receive it in the way that you preconceived or not, or whether you are in a place to ever see how that seed that may have been planted through love manifests and grows, then, that's not the important part. The giving of the love is a success in and of itself.
And if I may add to that, I would also share with you, there are several things that I wanted to share, and one of them is that the way in which I personally feel your energy, it feels that there is something that is blocking the flow in some way. Maybe are tears that need to be cried, maybe it's anger that needs to be expressed, but sometimes we have to accept the full range of emotions. We may get to be love, but we still have the full range to express. So being human means to really go through the whole range. Sometimes we may feel very happy and joyful and loving, but sometimes there is also maybe some pain that we can express, and that is okay because that allows us for our energy to flow and share the truth of the whole being that we are. And if, for example, you are used to growing up and not having that emotional interaction, not having that love, you are coming to heal your lineage. You are coming to bring this new experience of how it would be to be able to share love with others. And sometimes we bring this healing, this transformation, and it is not directly towards our relationship with our parents. And this, what I refer to is that sometimes they are not at that level yet, or we are not able to convey that to them. Because if we push somebody that is not ready, it's going to close even more. But if we start enjoying it in our lives with new relationships, with other people, we transform who we are. We start shining in a different way. Then our family also is going to start seeing something different in who we are. And they're going to start maybe opening. And it may not be directly with us. Maybe they start opening between themselves. But little by little, the work you are doing is going to transform your lineage. And I really agree with what Greg said about it is about you. It's your achievement of being able to share love. And it may not be with the response that you are expecting, but it's about you opening and being able to be the first one maybe in your lineage that is able to open and be vulnerable. And sometimes what happens...
I agree with you so much, Victoria. There's a comedian and activist named Dick Gregory, and he talked about this in terms of countries. He'd say, we don't need to go get in a war or get in conflict or bomb somebody. All we have to do is live so well and make it so attractive that they're going to want some of that. And we don't need to shove anything on anybody. The best thing that we could do is model living in love and living in happiness, and everybody are going to go, I want a little piece of that.
Yes, I love that. And one more thing I wanted to share is that sometimes becoming vulnerable is good, and at the same time, having the proper boundaries is important as well. My experience personally is that when I am totally vulnerable and I open in front of somebody that is abusive in some way, I am damaging myself. So I'm not going to give all my heart if the person in front of me is being abusive. So we want to always make sure to honor ourselves and place a boundary so that we make sure that our heart is protected, our inner child, our sensitivity.
Yeah,
oh wow. Okay. See. That what you just said is so powerful, but my reality is like really contrasting of that, because that's what I began to do differently. When I allowed myself to be vulnerable, I developed like by leaps and bounds, because I no longer I wasn't closed in anymore, and I learned to communicate through the language of emotion. I learned how powerful it is, and I learned that that's all that I am is emotion, just in physical form. And everything that I do is an expression of some type of emotion, whether it be the way I walk, the way I talk, the tone, the way I breathe. It is me expressing some level of emotion to some degree. And it allowed me to pay more attention to people, like even people who speak different languages than I, different lifestyles that I typically wouldn't identify with. I just began to focus on the emotion that they were exuding. And like I said, from the way they simply walk, the way they carry themselves, their body language, it all told me what they were feeling. And the consciousness that they are expresses itself through. I mean, these ranges of emotion. I'm not a. I forgot the word you used, but these are just the things that I've come to, make sense of.
And I don't think either of us are suggesting that not to be vulnerable. What we're saying is vulnerability does take courage. However, it's also really important to make sure that you're being appropriate. Am I being vulnerable here in a way that's fitting for me, or am I exposing myself to something that's going to be not to my benefit, that could be possibly hurtful to me? You know, it's vulnerable to go outside in Chicago without a jacket on. Well, you might want to do that in the summertime. You may not want to do it when it's 40 degrees below, because that could be harmful. And you just choose when it's appropriate to be that open and that vulnerable. And you make decisions based on that for your health and well-being. And if you nurture and nourish you with that kind of consciousness, then you get to help other people as well.
Wow, that is so amazing, because I think that is my dilemma. I have become to be, like I said, I went from a place that was negative, from a place that was full of anger. I dealt with a lot of abuse, physical abuse growing up. I dealt with a lot of ranges of emotions, so much so that now whenever I see someone else who has been a victim of that, who has suffered through those things, I find myself trying to be vulnerable to them people more so than others, because I feel like in order to learn something, a lot of times you have to see it performed. You have to see it acted out, and then you say, oh, okay, that's how this process takes place. And those are the people that they tend to hurt me, but I become numb to the pain to a certain degree, because I know where their anger and frustration is coming from. And I don't know. It's confusing, because, like you said,
it's phenomenal that you don't personalize it. However, it's also important that you don't open yourself up to abuse in a different form.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit too familiar, the abuse, so you don't want to be vulnerable to the point of being abused. You need to always nurture, nourish, care for you so you could care for others.
there is a part of us that is our spiritual aspect, and that part is the one that knows that the person in front of us, if it is hurting us, it is not because it's bad, but because it's hurting themselves. However, there is also a part of us that is our inner child that needs always our respect and our caring. We have to become our inner parents and make sure that we nurture that child because it's still alive within us. If we expose our inner child to anything, we may end up damaging ourselves. So it is beautiful to open. I love that, to be vulnerable, to be developing that spiritual aspect so that we understand and have compassion for people that may be acting in a negative way. It is very valuable. And at the same time, it is always the middle path, not too vulnerable, not too harsh. We want to make sure to be in the middle so we are able to give our love and keep our love as well. So you honor others and you honor yourself. You keep yourself intact while you are able to share more and more. So I would really, really recommend that.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for calling. Thank you. We love you. Bye.
I love you too. Thank you.
You have such great callers. I got to tell you, they're fantastic. They're and really open and insightful. It's great. It's phenomenal. Thank you.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much. Each person that called, and I know there are maybe a few more calling. We are way over the show time. Normally I finish at 11:05, something like that. So it's already 11:20. So, Greg, it has been such a fantastic time, such an honor. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Any last message that you want to share? And please also share about your website once again.
Well, let me get the business stuff out of the way first. It's gregfriedman.com. Friedman is spelled Friedman. And the Facebook page is Inner Journey with Greg Friedman. Anything I want to share, it's that, we, all of us, not just some of us, have the ability to be happy. It's not about fault. It's not about blame. It's about taking the personal responsibility. And one of those words that I love as well is realize. Because realize, in its essence, means make real.
Wow.
So what I do my best to do is help you realize, make real the life of your choosing. You choose it, and I'll help you make it real. And everybody can be happy, not just some of us.
Beautiful, very true. Thank you, Greg. And once again, for those who want to connect with Greg, you can find him at gregfriedman.com. Okay, so we're going to...
May I have an opportunity to thank you as well?
Of course, thank you.
So much respect, so much love, so much appreciation for you. You are a beautiful, bright, shining soul, and I am honored always and in any form to interact with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. You are very special to me. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to close now, and I just want to announce next week on Saturday, December 27th, we have the last Saturday of the year, so I want to create something special for you, and this is going to be a healing intensive. So I will be answering any questions that you may have about energy healing. I will share how you can learn healing if you want to become a healer, if that's your passion, how you can receive it, how it works. And we will have actually a global healing ceremony. So make sure to join having a white candle with you. And if you have healing crystals, bring also a clear quartz. So have it with you for the show because we're going to do a ceremony all together. This is going to be so powerful to complete 2014 and start the new year, 2015, very energized. Also, the archives for all of my shows, both in video and audio, are at victoriavives.com/radio, and you can find also all the information for the new show, The Healing Intensive. And if you are in Los Angeles, you can contact me now to apply for the Energy Healer Apprenticeship that starts in January. This is an in-depth training in which we work together for a full year. During this process, you will be completely transformed, and you will learn how to help others transform as well. Space is limited, so you can start contacting me now. And you can find all the information at reikiwellbeing.org. So remember that I love you, that I'm so happy to connect with you every Saturday. And I'm in Facebook. Feel free to add me. And now I will let you with the announcements of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. I love you. Bye.
Hi, this is Karen Newman from the show About Oneness. And here's what's coming up on the Enlightenment Evolution Network 1 and 2, starting on Monday, December the 15th, until Sunday, December the 21st. Simply put, Rob Gautier, founder of the EEN and the host of the show that started it all, the Enlightenment Evolution Hour, has put together the greatest metaphysical radio network ever. 7 days a week, we have shows that will aid you on your path to enlightenment, evolution, and ascension. On EEN1, on Monday at a special time, 3:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is Heart to Heart Talk Radio with your host, Daniel Scranton. Join Daniel and his featured guests discussing a wide variety of metaphysical topics. Daniel channels the creators, the Hathors, Ophelia the Fairy, Archangel Michael, and the latest, the Unicorn Collective. Daniel and his guests will take phone calls and questions, and it's sure to generate high-frequency discussions. You can find more about Daniel at his website, danielscranton.com, and also on Facebook. Go to the Events tab on Daniel's website to learn more about Daniel's upcoming events. His guest on Monday, December the 22nd, will be his wife, Lana Bost, as his co-hosts. She will be doing a show on making a living by following your excitement. On Tuesday, noon Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, please join hosts Megan Crandallmeyer and Rachel Archelaus for Radio Inspiration, Expression, and Abundance for their show, Soulfulpreneur. Spiritual business specialists Rachel and Megan will bring you inspiring conversations with people who are living their soul purpose. Frequent guests include psychic mediums, channelers, coaches, artists, and authors. They end every show with psychic readings and business coaching. Your questions about your spiritual business or life purpose journey are welcome. Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific, is the show that started it all, the Enlightenment Evolution Hour with host Rob Gautier. Rob channels Treb on the first Wednesday of each month. He will take callers' questions. On the third Wednesday, he will have special guests such as guest channelers and other metaphysical teachers. The other 2 Wednesdays are freestyle call-in shows to discuss whatever callers have on their mind. Tune into Rob on Wednesday nights, and you can also find him at trebchanneling.com and on Facebook at the Enlightenment Evolution Network group page. Every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific, trebchanneling.com, Rob hosts an hour-long meditation class. Please go to trebchanneling.com to register. Coming on January the 3rd is the online interactive Density Masterclass. The cost is just $25 for this 4-hour study of densities, dimensions, universal constructs, and much, much more. April 3rd to 5th, 2015, have 3 days with Treb and Ardif in Asheville, North Carolina during the lunar eclipse. This is a 3-day workshop on channeling, only 30 spots available. On September 19th, Treb Channeling proudly presents the Channel Panel, Awakening from Within. The Channel Panel will host the best channelers of our time. The Channel Panel includes Lee Harris, Sean Swanson, Daniel Scranton, Nora Harold, Wendy Kennedy, Brad Johnson, Rob Gautier, and Daryl Anka. This incredible live event is available in person and also on live stream. The cost of admission is $120 per day or $200 for both days, and on live stream it's $50 per day or $100 for both. Go to TrebChanneling.com to purchase a ticket. Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific, join host Philip Malika with the Consciousness Evolution Hour. Join Philip and his special guests and co-hosts as they discuss the shift, ascension, timelines, metaphysical concepts, and the fifth dimension. Find Philip at the Consciousness Evolution 2.0 group on Facebook and also on YouTube. On Friday, The Earth Experience with Kalina Angel, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific. The Earth Experience explores our soul's expansion through our human experiences on Earth. Kalina will help you navigate and expand through the exciting confusions that we are manifesting as new 5D beings. On Saturday, Victoria Vives Khuong hosting Earth Sky People Radio, Living in Harmony with Mother Earth and Awakening to an Intergalactic Society. Earth Sky People Radio is at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you to awareness regarding star seeds and extraterrestrial life, living in harmony with one another and Mother Earth and with life beyond Earth, the transformative power of music, frequency, and sound, shamanism, ancestral wisdom, and star nations, intentional communities, self-sustainable and regenerative living, the interstellar alliance of planet Earth, and becoming part of an intergalactic society, and much, much more. On Saturday, December the 20th, special guest is Greg Friedman, spiritual guide and mentor, taking the ancient wisdom of indigenous cultures and making it applicable in our everyday lives, taking small groups of people all over the world to work with indigenous elders in remote destinations. He has studied and done ceremony with the Peruvian shamans and the elders from various tribes. Call in for the Q&A. You can find all the details at victoriavives.com/radio. Also on Saturday, December the 20th, are two in-person events in Los Angeles, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, a workshop on chakra cleansing with crystals and sound. At 5:30 p.m., Psychic Reader Certification. Learn how to do pendulum readings. The details are at ReikiWellbeing.org. On Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Pacific, is my show About Oneness. About Oneness is a weekly radio program focused on celebrating the ongoing conscious awakening of our planet and our realization of oneness. I am an American originally from Charleston, South Carolina, now living in Europe, The Hague, the Netherlands. I'm an integrated channel, medium, Reiki master, and metaphysical teacher. I have a varied and diverse background, including that of being a singer, dancer, writer, as well as working in the sport, nutrition, and fitness world. As a channel, I bring forward the information of my non-physical guides called Theos, whose message is always that of oneness and unconditional love. This show for me is about integrating all of my experiences and following my highest excitement, which is tapping into the truth of the universe. If you would like to learn more about me and my upcoming guests, as well as see many videos on channeling and teachings, you can go to aboutoneness.com. On the Enlightenment Evolution Network 2, on Saturday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific, the Pied Piper and Texas Rebel hosting Disclosure Now. Disclosure Now is an on-the-edge-of-our-seat show that covers all topics of disclosure, from the world's most famous and obscure UFO cases to cryptozoology, conspiracies, and all things that go bump in the night. Pied Piper started his journey in Michigan in 1993 as a preteen seeing Bigfoot and never could get enough of investigating all things paranormal. Texas Rebel is a wild Texas man who loves the same journey and has studied these same things for years. Join them as they cover all things in the human experience that just cannot be answered by anyone. Coming soon on Sundays will be the Resonance Intention, hosted by Soul and Neil Gar. The Resonance Intention show will be dedicated to all things frequency and vibration. They will showcase conscious musicians who infuse frequency into their music and have set out to uplift and raise the vibration of humanity. They will have in-depth conversation with various artists about their passion, purpose, and personal journey that led them to where they are now. Additionally, they will routinely have guests on the topics of free energy, technology, and other quantum modalities that are coming into existence. The Resonance Intention is a platform for artists, musicians, and inventors to increase awareness of their personal approach in order to contribute to the paradigm shift they are currently within. And remember, you never have to miss any show on the Enlightenment Evolution Network 1 or 2. All shows are available to listen to again on Blog Talk Radio immediately after they air on playback. You can also listen again to all shows on YouTube on the Enlightenment Evolution Network channel. All right, back to the show.